this is sort of in our global press releases, this has been termed digital waste. And I guess if you look at it, you could say, well, actually, that's no different to the offline world. You do a television commercial, you broadcast it, you try to get it somewhere in the TV schedule, which will get to the target market, but invariably you're going to broadcast it to people who've actually got no interest in your product, and you could argue that that's also waste. So no difference between online and offline. But I guess that the difference in the online world is the fact that actually people can actively defriend you, if you like, for want of a better term. They can take some action to actively sever that connection, which means not only are they just letting that your communications messages wash over them, it's actually potentially destroying value. And so we think that, and we'll see this later on when we look at the segments that exist, there's some things that can be done to make sure that you're targeting your marketing communications at people who are going to be receptive to it in a way that is going to make sense for them, in the same way that you would in an offline environment. Another big difference with social media is just the role that your customers have in advising non-customers about your product and service. And there's some pretty scary statistics which come out of this Digital Life survey for people who are trying to manage communications. The first thing that becomes most obvious to us is that user-generated content is now a key channel for people to seek information about purchases. If we look at it, 58% of people agreed that comments of others help them shortcut the decisions they make about brands. And if we look at it from our point of view as marketers, actually getting that message out, 57% think that user comments are more credible than comments originating from the brand itself. So that user-generated content has more credibility. Even if it comes from a complete stranger, 28% of people trust comments made by complete strangers about brands and products online. So it has credibility even when they don't know who it is that's actually made the comment. And just one negative review for 48% of people can impact their feelings about a brand. So a hugely powerful channel to communicate with your customers, and because it's user-generated, a channel that's actually quite difficult to control. The other issue is it's actually changing the shape of that brand funnel. So if you think about the classic brand funnel with awareness and consideration and intent, and then a purchase, and then some post-purchase recommendation, what we see in the online world is actually quite a difference, and particularly in the post-purchase. And it's different for two reasons. One is, in the offline world, your recommendation was really limited to all the people you could talk to, and face-to-face, and it probably only existed for a certain period of time. Obviously, in the online world, you can communicate to almost limitless number of people who you don't know, and the comments are potentially there forever. So it increases that reach and that breadth of the recommendation that people make. But it also introduces another stage into it. Not only do you get that comment stage, which is effectively the recommend stage in the offline world, you also have the ability to connect with your customers as well. So you have a further stage in the brand funnel. Now, obviously you've got to do it in a way that people want to connect with you, because if we remember, 54% actually don't want to connect with brands or be bothered by brands online. But if you get it right, what it means is that effectively your post-purchase, the comments and the connections of your customers after purchase drives back into the earlier stages of the brand funnel and actually can grow awareness and consideration and purchase intent as a result. So therefore, brands have got to be able to create the reasons, first of all, to give a reason to the consumers to be able to comment positively about their product or service, but also give them an excuse to want to connect with you. As I said, that the digital market, a big part of the Global Life survey is to actually segment the market in terms of people's digital behaviours and their attitudes. And so what Digital Life has shown in terms of the segmentation is, just as in the offline world, there are different segments in the online world. As I said, what we've done is we've segmented the market based on attitude, so involvement level with online world, with the internet, low involvement to high involvement, and also with behaviours, so high consumption to low consumption. And we've come up with these 6 segments, and these segments are quite different. So if we look at them, we've got functionals, people who are just using the internet as a functional tool. Knowledge seekers, those that are using the internet to educate themselves effectively. Aspirers, those people looking to create a personal space online. Communicators, those people who love to express themselves, both in the offline world but also in the online world, where they obviously have another channel in which to do that. Networkers, for whom social networking is the big thing. They have a busy life, they use social networking to keep in touch. And influencers, who find the internet as an integral part of their life. And so if you think about it in terms of marketing communications to your customers, to a mass market, which is going to be comprised of these different segments, the way in which you communicate with, say, the functionals is going to be quite different from the way in which you need to communicate for the influencers. And what we see when we look at the New Zealand market is effectively a two-speed digital market, if you like. 24% of us are functionals, and I think if you go on, there's a website, tnsdigitalife.com, the details at the end of this. If you go on, you can actually test your own segmentation. You may get a shock when you find out where you fall. 24% of us are functionals. So right at that sort of using the internet solely as a functional tool. But if we look at the other end, 25% are either influencers or communicators. So if you think about your communications message, anything that you push out that appeals to functionals is likely to be pretty unengaging to the much more sophisticated users, the influencers and the communicators. Whereas anything you push out for that far end of the sort of two-speed digital market is likely to just completely overwhelm the functional. So therefore that understanding of your customer base and how they are segmented based on their attitudes and behaviours online is pretty critical, as it is in the offline world, to make sure that your communications messages are targeted correctly and are going to be effective. And what we're finding, as I say, this is the second year of Digital Life. A lot of our global colleagues, particularly on global accounts, are using the segmentation basis now in their tracker studies to get that understanding of their customers, so to better understand how they should target their online communications. And so what are some of the differences, the practical differences in terms of these segments? Well, if you remember at the start, we said that 34% of New Zealanders use their time on the internet to communicate, either social networking or email. But if you break that down by the segments, you can see there's vast differences in who exactly is doing that. So networkers are spending, 77% of networkers are participating in social networking daily, 81% of communicators, but only 22% of functionals. So when we talk about using social media and social networks to get out the message around our brands, it's very dependent on who your customers actually are as to how effective that is going to be. Similarly with purchasing online, we see a huge difference between those that participate daily, so admittedly it's a relatively high bar, daily participation in online shopping. We can see that 22% of communicators will buy something daily online, and that compares to just 1% of aspirers and 4% of functionals. So once again, depending on your customer base, the success of your online sales channels are going to be very dependent on how your customer base is segmented down from their attitudes and behaviours online. And similarly, we talked about how important social media is and user-generated content is now as a communication channel from your customers to potential customers. But once again, what we see is there's a big difference as to who gets online in order to be able to write about products or brands. So communicators doing it 42% of the time, networkers doing it 34% of the time, but functionals doing it 22% of the time. So when you're thinking about who it is that you need to create as advocates using social media, once again, you need that understanding of your customer base, and in particular, you want to be talking to these people, the communicators, making sure that they love your brand and product and they're getting out there and telling people about it. So those are just some of the sort of top-line insights, if you like, and some of the facts that we saw about the New Zealand market. It's a much, much bigger study, as we saw at the start. So how can you get more information about this? Three ways, really. First of all, there are standard local and global reports. The global report's available now. The local report is going to be available shortly, the New Zealand report. Likewise, we have reports for any other market. So if you're exporting or you're interested in other markets around the world, we can provide that information to you. There's just a standard price list, so we can talk to you about that. What we'd probably recommend though is, given how broad Digital Life is and given how much information it involves and our ability to segment it down to particular categories, you may find that actually there's more value in terms of customised reporting. So we can work with you to work out what are your particular business issues within your category and then be able to pull out the most relevant information to you and to your business. And then finally, as I said, what we are finding a lot of clients, particularly overseas, are doing is incorporating some of the Digital Life questions, particularly the segmentation questions, into other surveys we're doing for them, either trackers or ad hoc work, and we can obviously also do that. It's relatively few questions, but it allows you to get that much better understanding of how your customers engage in the online world. So that's a very brief overview of Digital Life. As I say, if you do want more information, please get in touch with whoever your account lead is for your client, or Emma, or myself, and I think our cards are in those information packs which are on your seat. So that's Digital Life. Thank you very much for coming along and hearing it.